My name is Rebecca Skeele, and I want to welcome you to this first Facebook Live video, which is the official launch of a month of radical loving. A month of radical loving. I'm here in my office today. It's a beautiful day outside. I hope it's wonderful where you are as well. And I want to thank you for joining me. If you're joining live or if you're watching this at a later time, I have to remember to look at the camera rather than myself here on this screen. Getting used to all this Facebook Live thing. A month of radical loving. Well, what is a month of radical loving and why am I doing this? I'm doing it because I set up an event, actually, February 18th in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It'll be a day of radical loving, and I realized that I wanted more than just a day of radical loving, and I felt like this was the time. It's the beginning of the year. This is going to be a very interesting year. It's going to be a challenging year for many of us, already is. Bumpy in a lot of ways, and the energy of loving, which is something that I teach, I live my life from. It's been something that I hold very sacred to me. Quite honestly, there's another energy that's coming in for me around this. And so that's why I picked, or I was actually given the word radical. And I want to talk today, maybe on the first video, give you a little backstory of how this came about for me. Not in a lot of depth, because this really isn't about me, but I thought maybe this would assist you in knowing where I come from in bringing this forward. And also talk about the word radical loving. What is it really? I know the word is provocative, and I picked it on purpose, or let's say it was given to me, and I am keeping it because I really feel like this is a time of radical loving. So, a little backstory. I never know how this is going to come out. How am I going to talk about this today? November. Yeah, November. Let's say I was embraced by the Hindu goddess of death and destruction, Kale. And I spent several weeks in a darkness, very immobilized with what now? And it was a time of a lot of inner death and destruction and deconstruction and shattering and all manner of what one goes through when Kali visits you. And in that time, I really asked myself, well, what now? And I really didn't know. And in that time, I just stayed with it. And I didn't really have a lot of words at that time. I just stayed with it. And then the words started to come, what I call the waters of life. They began to return. I had faith that they would. I believed they would. I had a knowing they would, but I didn't know when. I didn't know how. I didn't know how it was going to show up. And as they began to return, I began to find words. I began to express what this was for me this time. And the words radical loving were given to me. I was not comfortable with the words radical loving. Loving to me is who I am. It's the essence of who I am. I don't had put the word radical with it. And yet, the more I was with those words, the more that I sat with them, the more I started to write about what this was for me, express what this was for me. I thought, this really is what I am called into expressing at this time and bringing forth. I also hear the word medicine inside of me. It is a time of medicine. It's a time of really feeding myself and my soul in a way that needs to be fed. and directed and focused. So I created the event February 18th in Albuquerque, New Mexico. There's probably a link somewhere around this video if you want to check it out for yourself, if you'd like to join us in Albuquerque on the February 18th. But I also realized that I wanted to talk and express and bring forward what radical loving is and the sacred action that I believe that all of us are searching for at this time, the way in which we want to express and be and do at this time in this time in our lives and this time on the planet, in this country, in our communities, and our families, and with ourselves. This has given me a direction. It's giving me a way to bring forward all of the feelings, and yet at the same time really direct them into the direction that I want to go. Radical and loving. Okay, so I looked up the word radical, and it had synonyms like far-reaching, impactful, transformational, thorough, words like that. And I like some of those words: far-reaching, impactful, transformational, absolutely. And yet I wasn't satisfied quite yet with what all right. So I turned to a group. You know, you can't do this stuff by yourself. You really need to reach out to the collective. And I reached out to a group of beautiful, heart-focused, passionate people that I had the privilege of mentoring at this time, and said, what is radical loving to you? Would you please share with me what it is for you? And I got some really beautiful responses, and I thought I would share them with you today to broaden this this concept, this meme, this definition of what it could be. It could be. So I have to put my glasses on because it's over here on the screen. So I'll be looking away from the camera a little bit while I look over here. So first person said, radical loving is all in. And boy, I really get that. I am all in these days, and I know many of us are feeling that. We're feeling like, I want to be all in. And also, it's really important that we're discerning with ourselves about, well, what are we all in about and with? The next really lovely sharing was, let's see, I'm reading my Facebook posts over here, and where do I go next? Here we are. Loving the self and following inner guidance no matter what. That's kind of like all in, right? I like that one as well. Radical loving is courage. Courage to stand up for love. Courage to stand up for myself. Courage to move through and toward things even though they scare me. Radical loving makes me think of ordinary person turned warrior. Yeah. Not out of hatred or fear, but one who loves and has the courage to admit that loving and then be a warrior for that. Yeah, that's rich. I like that a lot. Here's some more. Radical loving is in outrageousness, totally honest, no holds barred, in the face of fear, and I want to add, in the face of cruelty, in the face of rancor. Yeah. And then finally, radical loving frees me to be bold, kind, and fierce all at the same time. I am challenged to listen, speak, and act on a totally different plane than I have before. That's something a lot of us are feeling, isn't it? And she also wants a bumper sticker, which I really love. A bumper sticker that says radical loving. So, what I want to do in these live Facebook um, videos is really talk about the aspects of radical loving that I have discovered. It has a lot of different aspects to me. It's very rich and has some qualities about it that I have discovered not only in myself in going through what I have gone through in the last 8, 10 weeks or so, but also in observing um, the world and observing people I know and that I work with. And also, Facebook has been a great place to just be aware of the energy that is with all of us at this time. Um, so I think what I want to do on this first video is, first of all, again, thank you. I hope you will join me. I'm going to be doing at least twice a week. I don't really know which days. I can't tell you for sure, but they will be posted and you can watch them later. And also, if you are really, and I'm doing, again, I'm doing this for us so that we can have a direction and a purpose and a focus as we walk through the beginning of this year and hopefully into months to come. So I think what I want to do in closing is really ask you your definition of radical loving, to suggest that spend a few moments. And I want to just maybe take a moment now. And perhaps you can just close your eyes with me. Take a nice deep breath in. Let yourself quiet for a moment. Maybe sit back in your chair, or if you're watching this on your cell phone, just pause for a moment and tune into your heart. I like to place my hand over my heart when I'm tuning in, just to bring my awareness that this is what I want to focus on for a moment, the loving of who I am. Maybe take in a couple of nice deep breaths in that loving. When I'm working with someone, I like to suggest that you bring the energy of that loving into your whole body so that it becomes a experience, a palpable experience for you. And then ask yourself, what is radical loving to me? And let yourself listen. I hear the words vulnerability. This is what I'm hearing. Present, raw, real. What is it for you? What is radical loving for you? Maybe it's something simple. Maybe it's some kind of action. Maybe it's more complex. And then just take a moment, if you can, if you're in a place that you can, write it down. What is radical loving to you? I hope this is going to be a time for you to really explore this for yourself, to find some keys, to find some medicine for you, some deep medicine that feeds you on all levels and also takes all of that passion, that energy, all of those feelings and visions and dreams, and can direct them into what I call sacred action, which I'll be talking about. So the next video, I am going to focus on compassion and what it is. And I have a quote on one of my posts on Facebook. It says, radical loving is compassionate action in the place where peace and justice kiss. That's actually a quote from Meister Eckhart, where peace and justice kiss. So until next time, blessings to you and your day of radical loving.